Alright guys, so I'm excited. This is the first time I've been able to do this for the Dallas Cowboys, my favorite NFL team. But it's going to be a post-game thoughts video where I sat down and I analyzed a few of the things I saw and just highlighted some of the things I think that are important and helped me and you see why the game turned out the way it did. So I'm excited. There's a lot of notes to go on. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but based on how I've done some of my recent post-game thoughts video, it might get upwards of 20 minutes, but I think it's good. So here we go. So first of all, I just want to start off saying that the way Dallas responded and the way that they turned the game around really shows you the character of this team. It really shows you the level of coaching that Jason Garrett, Rod Marinelli, Scott Linehan, all those guys put together to make this team be prepared and how they adjust in game. It's absolutely amazing. And I said in a recent video, I was saying how it's funny now that people are giving Jason Garrett credit, but all these traits that led to the team being the way they are in 2014 and 2016, he's been this same way since he first got the job. It's just that we weren't having success as we were building up a team, making the franchise respectable. We were drafting well, and now that the team is starting to pull talent into places and guys are buying in, we're having success. But people didn't want to see that. They didn't want to hear that at first. And they just said Jason Garrett was a bad coach. But now I'm happy to say that, I was right. I told you should have listened to me. But that's just me gloating a little bit. So here we go. First of all, on the first play of the game, I just have to say, what in the world was that? That first play, I don't know what we were thinking. It was kind of like a fake kind of trick play, but Dak just kind of took off toward the right. And then it's like he was faking the run, but he also faked to get a ball to the back, and then he tried to throw, and he just basically ran out of bounds and lost some yards. Maybe they just wanted to try something new, and that's good to keep the defense off balance. But I just thought that was a weird play. It didn't seem like it was executed all that well. Also, and here I'm just gonna kind of go based on what I saw. Dak, he threw the ball to Dez Bryant early in the game. In which he completed an intermediate pass across the middle. Dez Bryant beat the cornerback one-on-one, used his body, as he always does. That throw shows you just how good the Dallas offensive line is. Dak Prescott had all day to throw, and he took his time. He found Dez getting open on the dig route going across the middle, which takes a lot of time. Usually takes 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds to develop, and that's enough time to get hit, and he had that time to throw the ball. Now, I said it to say, this is going to be the first time you're going to hear me say Dak Prescott had all day to throw, and you're going to hear it a few more times. This shows you how good we are on the offensive line. Just listen for that phrase. Now, a little later on in the drive, about the 12-minute mark, this is the first drive of the game, we did a play-action pass to Zeke. Oh, this play was ridiculous because Jason Witten was wide open on this play. He ran a little simple out route to the right. On the play-action pass, we faked it to pitch to Zeke to the left. And the whole defense, I repeat, the whole defense looked at Zeke and started shifting that way toward him, toward where they thought the ball was going. That's just how much respect Detroit had for our running game. And it happened repeatedly. Whole defense flowed to Zeke. Dak turned back to the right on the rollout and hit Witten for a 23-yard gain down the sideline. Now, Dak, in the same drive, the first drive of the game, he threw a touchdown to Bryce Butler at the 10-minute mark of the game. Now, he had all day again. He had all day. See, the second time I said it. And he surveyed the field and found Bryce Butler going open up the seam. Now, it was a good pass, and Dak got it there, and it was a touchdown, so it's good. Now, this is the same thing I've been saying all year, and I love Dak, but he has to work on these things. He made Bryce Butler jump unnecessarily. The way he threw the ball, Bryce Butler had to really stretch out for the ball and go up and get it when he could have easily just caught the ball and walked into the end zone. Now, I may be being a bit picky, but that is necessary for him to refine those things, because when you're able to be even more accurate with your ball placement, you can help your receivers to run out the ball. You can help your receivers get yards out of catch. You can get more touchdowns in the long run. Now, you'll see that problem coming up later on in the game where he had the opportunity to hit some guys and he missed them because of underthrowing or overthrowing, or the ball placement being just a little bit better where it needed to be. Now, as I moved on, First drive gone. Detroit's got the ball now, about the 8-minute and 5-second mark of the game. David Irving, who's been having a wonderful past few games, he showed off his pass rushing ability again as a 6'7" guy. He had a nice inside move. It was a really nice inside move. He's number 95 if you don't know who he is. He just rushed up the field, got number 71, the right tackle number 71 from Detroit, and just ripped inside with this nice swim move and made a beeline for Matthew Stafford and impacted that play. Also, Anthony Brown, the rookie cornerback who the media has been talking about a little bit, or at least those media outlets that have been following the Dallas Cowboys and people who watch the games, you probably heard his name, number 30. He played great coverage man-to-man. It was actually on the next play after the one where Dave Irving had the nice inside rush. He should have turned around, but he made up for it by sticking his hand up at the right time. So he had great man-to-man coverage. He wasn't beat. The receiver turned around and looked for a ball. Anthony Brown just continued to run with him, but he did stick his arm up at the last minute and knock the ball away. So that was good coverage. The only thing I would say is he needs to turn around as well. Also, the run defense, oh my gosh, it was horrible in the first half. It was looking super soft. It looked extremely soft, I would even add. Zach Zenner, the running back for Detroit, number 34, he had some really nice runs. He showed off why, he had over 2,000 yards rushing for 3 straight seasons at South Dakota State. So he has talent, but there was no reason why Dallas should have been getting blown off the ball. Detroit either blew Dallas' line off the ball or moved them out of the play multiple times. That's why they got their first touchdown. Their first touchdown, he ran right through. The Lions' interior offensive line, they absolutely crushed the Dallas defensive line on those first few drives and in the first half in general. And that's something we cannot have going into the playoffs. I will say that later on we fixed it, but that first half was a little bit troubling for the run defense. At the 5:28 mark of the first quarter, Dallas's run defense was non-existent. So I started charting examples of us being completely beaten on the line of scrimmage. The 5-minute, 28-second mark, it was a big hole on the left side. Randy Gregory was a non-factor. I think Detroit realized that. They realized he was there for pass rushing ability, not necessarily for stop and run. And it's not that he can't stop the run, it's just that that's not his specialty, and he's a little bit slighter. So they knew that they could run at him, and it worked. And that was actually the touchdown. That was the first touchdown for Zach Zenner. Now, on the next drive, Dallas got the ball back. And I'm not going to talk too much about what led to this play, but on Zeke's 55-yard touchdown run, if you were watching the game at that point, it was around the 2-minute, 55-second mark of the first quarter. Zeke had a 55-yard run. Detroit made a mistake. They put the whole defense near the line of scrimmage to stop the run. Now, that works if you control the line of scrimmage and you get in the backfield. Pittsburgh made the same mistake. They got to the line of scrimmage, and Dallas's offensive line won the battle at the line of scrimmage. And what happens is when you put your whole defense at the line of scrimmage and nobody layers behind them, once the running back gets through that initial push, who's going to stop him? Nobody. Therefore, Zeke got the ball, ran right down the sideline, got a touchdown, beat his guy in the angle. He I always joke about him because he's so big, he's like a complete back, they say. He doesn't look that fast, but when he's outrunning guys, he's fast. That's always my biggest knock on him. I mess around. It's like it's funny. It's supposed to be a 4.4 guy, but he doesn't look like he runs a 4.4. But when he's leaving guys behind, he runs a 4.4. So that's really interesting. But yeah, Pittsburgh made that same mistake on that run that Zeke made toward the end of that game, and we got the game-winning touchdown. They made the same mistake. You can't line up and put your whole defense on the line of scrimmage to stop the running game for Dallas because the offensive line will win that battle most of the time, apparently. And Zeke did the rest. Now, Byron Jones. So Anthony Brown got hurt. He had a concussion, so that's going to be something to watch in his upcoming games in the playoffs because we've been a little hurt in the secondary. Morris Claiborne and Anthony Brown are hurt. Anthony Brown got hurt, and we moved Byron Jones, get this, our free safety, to the nickelback position. That's just how talented and versatile he is. Byron Jones, number 31, he played nickelback once Anthony Brown went down. Anthony Brown went down on the kickoff, a kickoff that Detroit ran back for a pretty good run at the 2-minute, 40-second mark. And he did all right playing there throughout the rest of the game. He shut down those slot receivers and played the tight end still and even moved back to safety every once in a while. So that was encouraging to see that Byron Jones was able to do that. Also, this is just another example. The Detroit O-line blocking well again. They made our running game look pathetic. Our run defense look pathetic. So Even in pass rush, sometimes we couldn't get any pass rush, which is nothing new. There was plenty of times where Matthew Stafford had plenty of time to throw, and he made us pay for it. The 1 minute mark of the game, of the first quarter, is another example. I told you I'm charting examples of our non-existent running game. We had no run defense again. So there you go. The first play of the second quarter, Byron Jones played perfect man coverage on Anquan Boldin. And it shows you his coverage skills. He was running with him right down the sideline, and the ball was broken up. Well, I think the ball flew over their heads because he was covering him so well. Stafford just decided to overthrow it so that he wouldn't give Byron Jones a chance to impact the play. But yeah, he was right on him, didn't get no separation or anything. Let's see. The following play at the 14-minute, 50-second mark of the second quarter, Orlando Scandrick, who's been dealing with a little bit of injury, foot injury, plantar fasciitis, if I'm not mistaken, he ran well with the wide receiver Jones, Marvin Jones, for Detroit, and he played good man-to-man coverage, but he didn't turn around, and that was the issue. He didn't turn around, and the guy was able to catch the ball, I believe, on that play, and they got a first down. And that just shows you the importance of the DB getting his head turned around so they can impact the ball. But the secondary, they played it perfectly, though. At the 14-minute, 25-second mark, the secondary, this is impressive. This shows you how much better the secondary has gotten for Dallas. And early in the year, I made a video saying that Dallas secretly had the secondary as their biggest strength on defense. This shows you an example of that. Stafford had all day to throw, 14-minute, 25-second mark of the second quarter, but he couldn't find anybody. He couldn't find anybody at all to throw the ball to. And I think he ended up having to throw it away there. And there was no pass rush from Dallas, I think, on that play. Yeah, like he had all day, but the secondary held down all their receivers. And that shows you how good of our defensive backs have gotten, how well we drafted in free agency and whatnot. So, ode to Will McClay and those draft evaluators down there in the Big B. Now, the next play, the Lions got in the goal line I formation, a little bit further down the line. And Dallas had an impressive stand. They had a really, really impressive stand. Detroit didn't get any push at all, and we stopped them short. And even on the play after this, when Matthew Stafford got the goal line sneak for the touchdown, we still held up really, really well. And I think they should have blew the whistle a little bit faster than they did. But Detroit got the touchdown, but it's okay. But we didn't move that much on that play too, so I was impressed with our goal line defense. So that's nothing to linger on, but that was a pretty good play. Now, Dak's inexperience showed at the 12-minute and 45-second mark of the second quarter. So he should have thrown the ball away here. He had plenty of time to look to see if his receivers were open. He should have A, either ran to roll out of the pocket, or B, got to the edge so he can throw it away. But he sat there continuing to look downfield, and Ezekiel Ansah beat Tyron Smith just slightly. Tyron Smith was still willing, but Ezekiel Ansah beat him enough to where he was able to get a hand on Dak and bring him down for the sack. Now, with a little bit more experience, Dak would have felt that pressure coming on the side, and he would have thrown the ball away. So that's just an example of how, he has to improve, but he's still doing good. Now, Randy Gregory played wide right, and I say it again because he did this early in the game. So what Dallas would do is, to let Gregory get a push on his pass rushing, they would line up the three defensive linemen closer to the left side of the formation and let them do their normal technique. And they would let Randy Gregory go out further to the edge, kind of like Philadelphia would do with Babin and a few of those guys a few years ago. And they tried to let him rush from there. It wasn't that effective tonight, but I can see what they were trying to do. So we'll see if it works out. But it wasn't that effective. But they did it at this point in the game. And Detroit ran right at it. And that was at the 11-minute and 41-second mark of the second quarter. Detroit realized what Dallas was trying to do there, and they ran at it. So Dallas has to be careful because the other teams are going to pick up on that, and they're going to run at that play too. So we better be careful with how we're using Randy Gregory on that pass rush on that wide right scheme. Another example of Orlando Scandrick playing good coverage on Jones. They had him matched up on Jones quite a bit in that slot. Played good coverage on the play, but Matthew Stafford floated it in the air. I guess because he realized Scandrick was there, and so the ball went kind of high and went over his head. At the 11-minute 4-second mark of the second quarter, it was not much of a pass rush, which is not a surprise. Therefore, Matthew Stafford completes the third down pass to Ebron. Um, and about the first time of the game, probably, maybe second time. I saw a play earlier, but this play showed we won the line of scrimmage. I finally saw good run defense. Now, this is at the 9-minute, 10-second mark of the second quarter. That was the first or second time I saw good run defense from Dallas. That was a shame, but we were starting to pull it around. But then we regressed. At the 7-minute, 45-second mark, the run defense was abysmal as Zach Zenner got his second rushing touchdown of the game. They blew open the holes again, and we were pushed out of the play. You just can't have that happen. Little later on, we got another drive at the 5-minute, 50-second mark of the game. Dak Prescott had all day to throw. Again, see, that's the third time. And maybe I didn't even chart all the examples, but it's just another example I'm showing you. And he had to take off and run. There was no receivers open, but because the blocking was so well, he took off and ran and got able to pick up some positive yards. He didn't get the first down, but he was able to get some positive yards and set up better punt position. Let's see what we got here. At the 4-minute, 10-second mark, we sent a blitz to get pressure, and it worked. But the reason why we had to send that blitz is because our defensive line wasn't getting any pressure on Matthew Stafford by himself, so we had to cook up a scheme to get some pressure going. And it worked really, really well, actually. What we did was it was a nice blitz and stunt. And also it was helpful because David Irving got pressure by himself, so that's really good. So what happened was we got the sack, and it was a good design because Sean Lee was sent on the blitz, and Benson Mayowa stunted around Sean Lee. So Sean Lee blitzed on the left side of the offensive line, and he basically went after the left tackle, but the left guard helped out on Sean Lee so that he wouldn't get by the left tackle. But in doing that, Benson Mayowa was able to run around him and get into the open gap left by the left guard and was able to get to the quarterback along with David Irving, who had already flustered Matt Stafford, and they both converged on him for the sack. They punted the ball back to us. Now, so at the 2-minute, 39-second mark, we were down 21-14. So that was the last time Detroit had scored on the drive before with Zach Zenner's touchdown. 2-minute, 39-second mark, Dak threw a pass to Dez in the flat on the left side. On the left side screen. It was a small, simple out route, and it was a successful play. We got a first down out of it. Dez made his play, but Dak made Dez wait a little bit. Dez had to stop a little bit to get that pass. He had to wait. He should have been able to catch the ball and turn up the field. Now, it was successful because Dez is a playmaker, caught the ball and got the first down, but that's just one of those little things you got to work on. On the following play, we had a screen pass to Zeke, and Dak threw it slightly high, and Zeke had to kind of stretch out for it and jump up and get it. On a screen pass, you want your running back to catch the ball cleanly, easily while moving so that he can turn up the field and follow his blocks. So, like I said, this is another example of how we have to do that. Zeke did a great job of making the play work as well. At least the playmakers do, tiptoeing down the sideline for a few yards, getting the first down. Also, about the 1-minute, 16-second mark of the game, Dak was a little bit indecisive because he realized he didn't have anybody open down the field. And so he tried to take off and run, but then he tried to hold the ball and try to maybe throw it at the last minute, and then he decided to run. But because of that indecisiveness, A'Shawn Robinson was able to catch just a part of his feet and clip him and make him only gain about 2 or 3 yards. So he has to get a little bit more decisive on when he's going to run and when not going to run. At the 1-minute, 10-second mark, protection was great again. See, I told you. And Dak accurately threw the ball out in front of Dez for a touchdown. So this is probably one of the best throws Dak made all night. This is a really, really good throw. And it still has an issue with it, but I'm going to get to that after this. Dak threw it out in front of Dez. That's what you want to do. And I think this was the crazy catch where Dez caught it like with the one hand and then like fell into the end zone. But Dak threw it out in front instead of right at Dez, because if he had done that, it probably would have been an interception or a pass breakup. And so Dez had to reach out in front of him and catch the ball. That's a good thrown ball. Now, the only issue I have with it is that the ball was toward the middle of the field. Now, not like completely middle of the field, but like the way Dak threw it. Dak should have threw it toward the sideline a little bit so Dez can go and get the ball like this to keep the ball away from the DB, keep the ball away from the middle where the safeties are. The ball was kind of like this, a little bit to the side of Dez. And Dez had to kind of come inside for it. You don't want to throw balls into the end zone inside. You want to throw it to the outside so that the safety cannot get over there and impact the ball. But otherwise, it was a really good throw. Uh, and like I said, and that him throwing the ball like that is a reoccurring issue. And I'm actually going to talk about it because he did the same thing on his other touchdown at Dez, but I'll talk about it when we get there. A blitz. We sent another blitz at the 0-minute 43-second, well, basically 43-second mark of the second quarter. It was very effective. Barry Church got back there and beat their left tackle, and he got Stafford moving and impacted that play. So we started to blitz more often after we realized we can get to Stafford and impact him, and it worked. Excellent run defense to start the third quarter. So now we're just going right into it. From that point on, Dallas played good run defense. From the third quarter on, I guess they got into the locker room at halftime and they said, let's stop the run. And it worked. The line controlled the line of scrimmage. This was on the first play of the third quarter. And Wilcox, J.J. Wilcox, had like 2 or 3 or 4 plays where he played really, really, really good in this game. And this was one of them. He came up and laid the wood and knocked Zinner on his butt. And that was a good play. Orlando Scandrick at 13-minute 5-second mark. His third time I mentioned him playing good coverage. He played excellent coverage this time. Not just good, not just great. He played excellent coverage this time and was able to lock up the receiver. On the next play, the 13-minute mark, Malik Collins, the rookie defensive tackle for Dallas, number 96, he used great technique and hand usage to just blow past the center to get a sack on Matthew Stafford. This is you should have saw the play. Now, be fair, Detroit Lions best center, Travis Swanton, was hurt, but Malik Collins just played good technique, got up low, came up on the center stand, tried to push his hands out the block. Malik Collins got inside, swiped his hands away, went around him, and got the sack on Matthew Stafford. Easy play, good technique from Malik Collins. Now, Matthew Stafford made a horrible, horrible decision at the 12-minute 5-second mark of the of the third quarter. He should have kept running, actually. So what happened was we flushed him out of the pocket, and he started to do this weird. He was running, and he saw he had a receiver sort of kind of breaking open, but it was like 3 Cowboys DBs around the play, and he tried to fling the ball into it, being a gunslinger, Brett Favre-like, and he couldn't get enough on the ball. And because of that, Brandon Carr, who also had a good game, jumped out and tried to grab the ball with a diving catch. By doing that, though, he flipped the ball in the air, and then guess who was there to clean it up? J.J. Wilcox caught it. And I'm trying to see who. I'm going to make sure I'm giving the right person their credit there. Yeah, and J.J. Wilcox caught the interception and returned it a little bit. So that just shows you, yeah, he should have kept running because he had a little open room. He probably would have got a first down. But Dallas, the pressure was starting to get to Stafford, and that was a theme for the second half. They didn't look as good as they did in the first half. Now Dak, here we are. We got the ball back at the 11-minute 20-second mark. Dak underthrew Dez. And the funny thing was we got a positive play because it caused the pass interference. But the thing is, if he had thrown it out in front of Dez, that would have been a touchdown rather than a pass interference. So that's just something we got to work on. Throw it out front, it's a touchdown. Now, Ezekiel Elliott showed his talent on this 3rd down and 1 at the goal line. It's funny because I said this shows you how he's big and he doesn't look that fast. But when he's outrunning angles to the sideline, that shows you that he's fast. Kind of like Derrick Henry was when in college. People didn't think he was that fast. Now, so the linebacker, Tahir Whitehead for Detroit Lions, had the angle, if he had just ran out and got the Zeke. But Zeke realized it was stuffed at the middle, so Detroit stuffed the line of scrimmage. They played well there at the goal, but Zeke side outrun to the sideline. And he ran right to the goal for that touchdown. See the next play. Little later on, about the 8-minute 35-second mark of the third quarter, we sent Sean Lee on a blitz along with the end, and we got pressure, but the inside rush got pass rush on Stafford as well, and just impacted the play. So that shows you that our blitzes were starting to open up the defensive line's ability to impact the guys because they weren't getting double teamed. The offensive line was confused, and a lot of this pressure that we were starting to get was because of the formation that we switched to. Dallas is having a lot of success with this 3-2-6 dime coverage package that we use, which is 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 DBs. And that formation gave Detroit fits because we were still able to control the line of scrimmage with our blitzes and miscommunications that we were causing, but the DBs were covering well at the same time. And this was a really, really good play. Rod Marinelli deserves a lot of credit for using this formation. Eventually got to the point where we were confusing Matthew Stafford so much, he didn't know where the pressure was coming from. He didn't know whether we were blitzing or dropping back into zone, and you would see it over and over and over again. We would pull Sean Lee and number 57 or 59, I forgot whether it was Anthony Hitchens or whoever who came into the lineup. They would be on the line of scrimmage as if they were still going to blitz, but then they would drop out and play zone. And Matthew Stafford didn't have anywhere to throw the ball, and he had to throw the ball away or he had pressure on him. Or we will actually send the blitz and send one guy drop back, or we'll blitz both and let the defensive lineman drop back. And so it was actually a really, really impressive formation and scheme by Rod Marinelli. So we got a lot of pressure on Stafford because of that. Sean Lee, we sent blitz 2 times to Sean Lee on a row at the next play, the 8-minute 30-second mark, and we rushed Stafford out, and it almost led to an interception. Because Stafford had to just throw the ball out of his way. Wilcox played the ball extremely well. He jumped out in front of the receiver and knocked the ball down. And so that's another play by Wilcox, coming out playing well. Now, at the 6-minute 40-second mark of the third quarter, Dak, he waited forever to see Terrence Williams to get open. This is not a bad thing. I'm saying that he had all day again. Dak Prescott had all day to throw the ball to Terrence Williams, and he waited for him to get open on a small little curl route. It wasn't a small curl route. It was a deep curl route, and he got the first down. And that shows you how good this offensive line is. He had time to wait for that curl route to develop, and he threw the ball right in there. And he was able to just run under. Great protection. And then on the next play, he hit Terrence Williams again, but this time, this is actually that Dez Bryant throw from earlier. I take that back. This was the best throw of the game. It wasn't a touchdown or anything, but it was a nice deep crossing route that he hit. And the reason why it was the best throw that he made is because he laid it out perfectly. Terrence Williams was able to run under the ball, catch it, and get just a few more yards. He didn't have to wait on it. As a matter of fact, if he had to wait on it, it would have either been an interception, or he could have dropped it because the defensive back would have hit him, or he just wouldn't have been able to get those few extra yards. So that shows you how important quarterback accurately laying the ball out is. Also, we ran a read option, which is, I was like, man, look at us pulling out the Mississippi State offense, this spread offense here. Just one time in the game. Well, it may have been a little bit more, but just one time it was really successful because Dak took it. It was at the 4-minute 50-second mark, and this play shows you it's indicative of how much teams respect Dallas's run game. Because what happened was that the phone distracted me. But yeah, what happened was that he faked the ball to Zeke. And by faking it to Zeke, the whole defense followed him. The defensive lineman crashed down on Zeke, and he took off and ran to the left side, wide open for a first down. And I think that play will actually come up again because of how successful it was. Let me see, where am I now? Just another note here that I said the run defense still continued to play well. Detroit didn't run the ball anywhere as good as they did in the first half and the second half. David Irving on this play, I had to single this play out. He single-handedly destroyed a screen pass at the 3-minute mark. Screen passes are supposed to allow defensive linemen to get through the line of scrimmage and to suck them in so that they can't stop the screen. But David Irving got back there so fast that Matthew Stafford didn't have anywhere to throw the ball, and when he threw it, David Irving, being 6'7", stuck his hand up and knocked the play out and disrupted that play. Then Malik Collins on the next play pretty much did the same thing. He just burst right through the line of scrimmage and impacted the play. So Malik Collins, the rookie, and David Irving, the guy we picked up last year off Kansas City Chiefs practice squad, they have been balling out, and it's been good to see. Excellent disguising of coverage by Dallas at the 55-second mark of the third quarter. We pretended to blitz, and this is out of that 3-2-6 formation. And Brandon Carr completely covered his receiver at the same time. I mean, he completely covered the guy, shadowed him like he was running a route, and Matthew Stafford just had to throw the ball over his head just to get the pressure out of the way. And that shows you how good that they played in this particular formation in this game. Unfortunately, on a pitch play to Darren McFadden, and it was a really good pitch play actually, in which he still showed he had some of that speed that he was known for. Tyron Smith came up a bit gimpy because he got hit in the leg and he had to wear ice pack and they had a bandage on it toward the end of the game. And they're probably going to try to rest him a little bit now. But he's been dealing with nagging injuries all year with his back and stuff like that. So he probably just needs to rest anyway. But McFadden really showed us that he still can run well, and so that was good to see. And even though the play was successful, this is later on. Later on in the game, at 13-minute, 41-second mark, we're in the fourth quarter now. This play was Dallas having the ball, and it was successful in that Dak threw it to Cole Beasley, and he got his yards and it made an impactful play. Beasley, just like Dez, had to wait. It was a small out route to the right side of the field, but Beasley had to wait on a little bit, and he got up the field. But because it wasn't terribly behind, it was fairly on time, but Beasley still had to kind of do like a little stop to catch it. But he has to work on that. Here we go. It was a 12-minute, 15-second mark, second touchdown throw to Dez. So great back shoulder touchdown throw. Oh, I wouldn't say great. It was a good back shoulder touchdown throw to Dez. And the reason why I only say it was good because it was successful in that Dak did throw it behind and Dez turned around, caught the ball while the defensive back didn't have any opportunity to catch the ball. And that sense, it was a good throw. We got a touchdown from it. Nice play from Dak to Dez. Great play. The one issue is, like I said before, when he threw the touchdown to Dez earlier, the ball should be thrown toward the sideline near the out-of-bounds mark because, once again, all the defenders are playing on the inside. So if you throw the ball more to the inside, you give the defenders a chance to impact the play. You give the safeties and the linebackers a chance to jump up and intercept that ball if you don't throw it accurately enough, which he did. So that's good. But in the future, he has to work on throwing that ball toward the sideline so that no one can impact that play. But either way, it was still a touchdown. It was a great play. A little after that, when Detroit got the ball back, A'Shawn Robinson, who used to play for Alabama, he picked up Ezekiel Elliott and slammed him. I made a joke because I'm an Alabama fan, and Ohio State fans love talking about this game back in 2014. But they beat us in that game, and A'Shawn Robinson was on that team, and Ezekiel Elliott was on that team. And Zeke made a little comment about it after the game. But I'll say he's probably he was thinking about that game that they lost when he picked him up and slammed him right there. It's funny Zeke said the same thing. And so I thought that was funny. But although I don't think they should be slamming each other like that. I mean, you're already tearing your bodies up anyway just playing the game. So no need to add any extra wear and tear on these guys. No need to be nasty about it. And I don't think he was like intentionally being like super malicious, but he was still trying to like make a big hit. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think they should be necessarily trying to end each other's careers. So that was interesting. So once again, like I said, I made a note the 3-2-6 that we were using, that dime coverage, it was deadly, and I expect to see that more often in the playoffs. Teams are going to have issues with it if their line can't block. So look for that. Also, once again, this is another example of the secondary played well. We got a coverage sack by Benson Mayowa at the 9-minute mark at the in the fourth quarter. We completely covered up everybody, and Benson Mayowa had the time to just push the left tackle back into the quarterback, and he got his sack of Stafford. I think that was the third sack of Matthew Stafford game, third or fourth. And Stafford had time. He really did have time. We didn't get a lot of pass rush, but he had no one to throw it to, and that's just indicative of how good this secondary really is. So, all that being said, Dallas played a really good game adjustment-wise. They got killed in the running game early. We adjusted and played better. The secondary played good all game, and we were able to move the ball on offense. It was good. I think as we get toward the end, we thought that Cleary, the backup tackle, played in place of Tyron Smith. He did decent, but the running game suffered a little bit once Tyron Smith went out, so hopefully Tyron Smith won't stay out too long. Cleary did a good job of just kind of plugging in the gap. The key for Dallas in these next 3 weeks going into the playoffs is we got to get healthy. We got a lot of guys who are dealing with nagging injuries, so guys who need to just kind of rest a little bit. I think although Jason Garrett's not big on resting the starters, which you don't necessarily have to, but let the guys who are dealing with nagging injuries, I think they need to sit down a little bit. Just let them not play the whole game maybe. And I think that would be Scandrick. Anthony Brown, who has a concussion. Of course, he can't play until he's cleared, and you never know with concussions. It could be a whole year. It could be just a week. Who knows? Tyron Smith, I think they need to sit him down, let that knee rest up. Zeke, although he didn't get hurt, he didn't play anymore after that slam. I noticed that. So I don't think he got hurt, but I'm pretty sure he probably that hit was pretty hard. That's what I'll say. And then they probably didn't want to risk him, even though they played Dak a little bit longer. Morris Claiborne, I think they're waiting on him to get back and they're being safe with him. So I think they need to continue that. Just kind of let him stay out until we absolutely need him, which is the playoffs. Tank Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence, our defensive end who didn't even play in this game. He's been dealing with a few injuries, so let him rest it up. And then Randy Gregory, he strained his labrum in this game, and he came back and played and made an impactful play later on in the game. But he still needs to rest too. Let's just get these guys healthy, and I think we'll be good to go. So thank you guys. I told you this video was going to be long, 35 minutes. But I'm happy to do this post-game thoughts video for Detroit versus Dallas. Let me know what you think. I really enjoy doing these videos. I'll try to do it again for Dallas as we get into the playoffs. But right now I'm focusing on the college football playoffs as well. So this is going to be good. I love football. If you just want to let me know what you think, or if you think I missed anything, or you had some other opinion about some other things, put it in the comments. Let me know about it. I'm also on Twitter, which I'll put in the description box at Brian Glaze Talks. And sometimes I put things about games on there. So see you next time.